Hey guys, Design Hedgehog here, and today we're going to talk about the differences between socialism and like capitalism, bro. Uh, so essentially, there's there's a lot of differences between them, but I guess like the most there's large differences, but I guess in order to explain the how one is, I guess the best way to explain both socialism and capitalism would be to start at the beginning of each. So, I'll start with capitalism. So, capitalism has its roots from a man named Mises, a man an economist who proposed a economic system in which everybody could potentially work to make money and and with an amount of work to where so basically a system which benefits the hardworking and the middle class and could make those middle class individuals rise up the ladder, so to speak. A lot of people, almost everyone starts at the bottom, but they can climb their way to the top. Now, the earlier versions of it were not as good as what we have nowadays, but what is now America, it's been going strong. It's basically the foundation of our country, so take that as you will. But the next things that basically caused this has been a point of contention for the past few years, by the way. But the next thing I'm going to talk about is like the next thing I'm going to talk about is basically how well capitalism is not flawed, and next we'll talk about the slightly more flawed system, but we're going to talk about it from the of why it was made. So, there's this guy who's living under basically authoritarian rule, and he wants to try and get rid of class divide. So he proposes a socio-economic system in which everybody is paid the same for the amount of work they do. So the guy in the back of the room who absolutely doesn't do any work will get paid the same exact amount of money as the other guy who paid the exact same amount of money as the dude who does the hard work. So basically it tries to get rid of class divide, which on paper seems, alright. Like, it doesn't seem too bad, right? I mean, it's not bad. It isn't. It's not bad at all. You'd think, anyways. But the issue arises when you realize without how he implemented it was, to say the least, it was poorly planned, poorly executed. Uh, every country who's tried to use socialism in the past has failed. Venezuela, and many other examples of socialism turned communism, which Karl Marx, the same guy who made socialism, also is the granddaddy of communism and Marxism. So the guy who made socialism also made communism. What does that show you? That communism leads, or socialism leads to communism ultimately. They will lead to the same thing. I'm sorry. It's just that. That is socialism's detrimental flaw. In a classless society, everyone suffers. That is an issue. Which everyone has. If it was a classless society, or a truly classless society, then it would be one thing. But socialism ultimately fails at the one thing it tries to do, which is make a classless system in which there is no ruling elite and everyone works for the same amount of money. But in every scenario, it's become communism, where the ruling elite gets all the money and the people who live and work under communism have issue. People who have been working under communism and socialism have had issues keeping a steady workflow. And because everybody gets paid the same, it breeds laziness. Much like in what is currently going on in America, where unemployment is getting paid really high, it is breeding laziness. It breeds laziness. I'm sorry, but it does. This system breeds laziness. It does. In a capitalistic system, we will have no issues with working. But in a socialistic system, not why work, when if you do less work, you'll still get paid the same amount of money. Socialism and communism breeds laziness. Well, socialism breeds laziness, which causes the leaders to become dictators and force you to work harder, with no incentive whatsoever to work, other than you might go to the gulag. Oh yeah, guys. Joseph Stalin was a socialist. At first. Guess who else was a socialist at first? Hitler. So almost every, I guess, instance of socialism in the past has led up to corrupt officials in dire situations doing really bad things, or becoming dictators. Yeah, becoming dictators. Literal dictators have been bred from socialism. Some of the evilest people in history came from socialistic behavior, from a socialistic system of government. When capitalism fails and socialism thrives, it doesn't happen that way. I'm sorry. The only times in history capitalism has failed is caused by a coup, which is not okay. Socialism on paper seems alright. Doesn't seem like a great system of economics. Like it doesn't value work in any way, shape, or form. But hey, I get free stuff. And that is where socialism reeks. Because the hey, I get free stuff mentality. Like, seriously. If you do any amount of research, you know that every time it's failed, it's been caused by corrupt, and it breeds corruption in the leadership because, they're not held accountable for their actions. Under socialism, because they really cannot be. So, they really cannot be held accountable for their actions. Because they're the ones that brought you out of, evil capitalism? Like, that has been sort of the, I guess, driving force behind all this bullshit about socialism, that capitalism sucks or something. Like, there's been some real Kool-Aid drinking recently, man. Like, capitalism works. It's what's good. Okay, it works perfectly fine. Why? I guess I don't have any. Ugh. Anyway. So, I don't know, guys. I really don't know what to say. Like, I'm sorry if you support socialism, but it's not a good system. It is entirely flawed because greed and corruption. If there was no greed, no corruption in the world, I think socialism might, and I mean might, no guaranteed, might work better. But in this world we live in, socialism will never work because greed takes over. Socialism is the more likely culprit for greed. Not capitalism. I'm sorry, but it's not. This is not the case. It's just not the case. So, that is it for this video. So I will see you guys next time in the next video. Goodbye.